The best thing about attending my wife's company party is the opportunity to excel in a friendly rivalry. The downside is that the faster I drive, the sooner we arrive. The meeting is held in a wooden house, and there's a long stretch of road about 20 miles leading to it. No stop signs, no traffic lights, no cars, just an open road waiting for the Dodge to show its prowess. This also means no gas stations or convenience stores. Donna and I have grown distant since our daughter's wedding. I hoped for the opposite, but fate had other plans. Donna insisted I accompany her to the wedding, even though I made it clear that I didn't want to go. Previously, she used to go alone. Donna enjoys drinking, but I don't. Occasionally, I have a beer. She's a social butterfly, while I am not. Over the past year, I suspected she was having an affair. At this point, I no longer care. I think it's one of the reasons we've drifted apart. I waited, only seeking a way out of this unpleasant relationship. I need a solution to end everything. I have to admit that perhaps it's my fault that my wife decided to seek greener pastures. I'm a frugal, eccentric kind of person in general. I grew up in a poor family, much less privileged than most kids my age. We had fewer toys, electronics, and luxuries like bicycles and pets. It's like living like the Amish without the religion. I'm not foolish, and I completely understand how the normal world operates. But I can't convince myself to pursue it. I know that avoiding debt, paying bills on time, and saving for a comfortable retirement are important. With a frugal mindset, you don't have to be a fanatic. Just control yourself by allowing a few moments of indulgence, and you can be normal for most people. My biggest weakness is marriage and family. I struggle when finding a woman who can accept my eccentricities and embrace my uniqueness. Donna comes from the same background as me and is accustomed to a simple lifestyle. She may not embrace it like I do, but she can accept it. As we've lived together for a long time, she's become less critical. I don't like that, but I understand, especially after the girls were born. To avoid standing out, we bought a small and practical house and started dressing better. Donna often does her hair and becomes quite skillful in grooming and makeup. We have 2 smartphones from last year's models. As the girls grew up, Donna started working, a minimum wage office job. Transportation was necessary, so we bought her a small Honda Civic, similar to mine. Her salary almost covered all expenses for the car, lunch, and a new wardrobe. My name is William Smith, the most common name one could have. I work for a local company that manufactures industrial compressors. The job is monotonous, but I like it. I'm satisfied with both the position and the salary. Occasionally, I'm offered promotions, but I decline. I don't tell Donna. I keep my second relationship hidden from my wife. I find it wise to accumulate savings for old age. Every chance I get, I buy gold, 1-ounce crugerins. I have more than 30 in a safe in the basement, and I'm just getting started. Eventually, I decided to buy a 1970 Dodge Challenger. Donna does well at Gilbert Industrial, often receiving bonuses and promotions. In the first year, she used to talk a lot about her job, but gradually it faded. Now she rarely mentions work or the people she works with. I know something is not right, but I can't figure out what it is tonight. I hope to understand the situation better. The party is somewhat of an event, extending throughout the weekend. I feel out of place attending. I've dated all her friends at some point, and I don't like any of them. We leave late from Holbrook, and finally, I can let the Challenger accelerate. Donna is uncomfortable with the speed, but she remains silent. Yes, I'm driving too fast, but I don't care, Bill. Why rush like this? We have enough time to get there. Why don't you slow down a bit? I don't want to get there so quickly. You know I absolutely don't want to go. I'm just using this time to clean the engine. The car needs to run smoothly. Please don't ruin my mood. This weekend is crucial for my career. Why is it so important? What are you talking about? Why is it important to me to attend this corporate event? I don't understand. Bill, you need to fully understand my new position in the company, so you can give me the attention and support I need to work. I still don't get it. I'm sure Mrs. Simpson will explain everything to you when we get there. Marge Simpson is the wife of the CEO of the company, Glenn Robertson Simpson. It's a publicly traded company and a long-standing business. I have always supported you in the past. What has changed? My new position comes with unique responsibilities. Marge says you should gradually get to know them to understand them better. It might be confusing initially, but she assured that you would understand. When we arrived at the wooden house, my adrenaline started to rise. You don't have to be a genius to figure out what Donna is trying to say. The weekend promises to be interesting. When we arrived, Donna walked into the house, leaving me with the bags. I felt like I was put in my proper place. Hey, nice car, Mr. Smith. That's Toby Wallace, the only reliable worker in their office. Hello, Toby, how are you? Toby introduced me to his wife, Bonnie. They sat on the porch, but it seemed everyone else was inside. I looked around the parking lot and estimated there were about 16 cars there, and an old beaten-up truck at the end. We spent the next 5 minutes talking about the Challenger. Why are you out here? Why aren't you and Bonnie inside with the others? These people are not our kind, Mr. Smith. We hoped to leave early, but Mrs. Simpson emphasized that we had to stay. We came early to help set things up. All suppliers left about an hour ago. You'll have to explain to yourself what's going on, what's suspicious. But I don't know exactly what. I don't want to bother you, but I think it's related to your wife. Will you stay for the entire weekend? No, that's why I left the truck on the side of the road. So when we're ready to leave, we won't have to worry. Everything is becoming more and more interesting every minute. Okay, I should take everything upstairs. Let me know before you leave, right? Of course. Mr. Smith, be careful. Don't do anything foolish. Luckily, there were only 2 small bags. As I entered the house, Mrs. Simpson noticed me, smiled, and waved. Donna was waiting for me at the top of the stairs, looking a bit annoyed that I took too long to get in. It's about time, Bill. We have a few hours to prepare for the evening. Clean up and wear something formal. Tonight will be a special night, and I want everything to be perfect. If you don't mind, I'll take a short walk around the house to calm my nerves. I'll be back soon. I felt like I was smiling as I left the room. There was a bit of a chilly breeze, making my walk more comfortable. By my count, there were indeed 16 cars, mostly Mercedes, a few Jaguars, and a Lexus. 4 cars had out-of-state plates. I was a bit puzzled, trying to understand how a woman in my wife's position could keep up with people like them. She, or more precisely, we surely are out of the league of these people. Something is not right. I noticed Toby and Bonnie loading bags into the truck. I waved and approached for a chat. I noticed Mrs. Simpson had decided it was time for you to leave. But in reality, we were like trying to escape. I felt uncomfortable here. Mr. Smith, Toby thinks maybe we should stay, but I convinced him not to. Bonnie Hasten added, could you please help me a bit and stay until the dinner party ends? I'm a bit anxious and would really appreciate it if you could do that. I don't know what's going on, but I don't like it. Great minds think alike, right, Bonnie? She blushed a little with my embarrassingly feeble attempt at humor. I think we can. At this point, there will be crabs and oysters. Toby, I think I'll like it. I dressed as my wife requested before we approached the buffet table. The hostess took my hand and led me to a quiet corner. We're very pleased that you decided to come tonight to support Donna. This is a crucial step in her career, and it's important that she has full support from you. The salary increase and other benefits are quite substantial. I'm sure you'll be pleased with it. Excuse me for asking, but are we talking about a position? Donna was a bit vague when I asked her about it, usually just shrugged and said wait until tonight. Okay, William. I think she just wants to surprise you. You didn't answer my question. No official title. I guess you could say she's just a personal assistant. Understand? All right, Marge. The buffet looks delicious. Thanks for the explanation. Marge, Please call me Marge. I spent about an hour trying everything on the buffet table. Donna was busy communicating with important people, so Toby, Bonnie, and I had a little more time to enjoy together. As we were about to leave, Mrs. Simpson arrived. "William, Donna said you came tonight in your sports car. I was wondering if you could take us to get some more drinks." I smiled and nodded. "There are 3 cases of wine at the ABC store in Holbrook. They've been paid for already, so you just need to go and pick them up. There shouldn't be any issues, but if there are, call me. Make sure to bring your phone." "I'd be happy to, Marge. I'll let Donna know and go." As she left, I looked at Toby. "Meet me outside in 5 minutes." Donna just laughed when I told her that Mrs. Simpson had asked me for help. Her only comment was, "Don't forget your phone." The interesting thing is that both of them emphasized that. "Toby, I need a favor, please." He smiled when I tossed him the keys to the Challenger. "Are you serious? Go to Holbrook and buy 3 cases of wine at ABC for Mrs. Simpson. I feel that there might be some issues causing delays if you catch my drift." Toby smiles and nods. "Here's my phone. Place it on the car's dashboard. If he calls, don't answer. Whatever actions you take, don't turn off the phone." Question: how long do you want us to stay away? "At least 2 hours and refuel before coming back. Enjoy yourself. It's a bit chilly outside, but I've prepared by wearing a warm and comfortable sweater. Now, all I can do is sit and watch from different spots on the porch. You can see most areas where no one is sitting inside. A good way to get some extra energy is a cup of coffee, but I didn't plan for that. I found a convenient spot where I could observe without being noticed. Donna is the center of attention, laughing and sparkling like a movie star." About 20 minutes later, Mrs. Simpson and Donna checked Donna's mobile phone. I know exactly what they are doing, checking my location. Fortunately, thanks to Toby, I'm near Holbrook. Both of them smile as Mrs. Simpson waves and starts talking. Unfortunately, I can't hear the overall content, but people in the room seem to react silently, approving to what they are hearing. It sounds like a quiet welcome. Glenn Robertson Simpson steps forward and takes Donna's hand. They start climbing the main staircase and stop. He raises their hands high as a congratulations gesture, and they both laugh as they ascend the stairs. I hear cheers in the room. There's about an hour and a half before the Challenger returns. I decide to relax and enjoy life. I always carry my reliable pocket knife made of good steel with a sharp blade. I look around and decide I'll start with the closest cars to the house. I'm not in a hurry, and there's nowhere to rush. I carefully place each valve from the cars into my jacket pocket. I don't want to lose anything, and I also don't want to mess up the Simpson family's parking lot. 16 cars and 64 valves. I have just under an hour left. What to do now? 4 cars are locked. All the others have open doors, so I start again with the ones closest to the house and take the registration papers. Some are in the sun visor, but most are in the glove compartment. I don't know what to do with them, but I think they might be useful in the future. About 30 minutes before Toby returns, I decided that I needed to remove the valves from the spare tires, as I already had access to the cars. I also had access to the trunk. 20 minutes later, I had an additional 10 valves, with 2 cars missing spare tires. I knew it was a petty and childish act, but it gave me a bit of easy satisfaction. I'm not a fan of confrontation, so everything I do or plan is petty and mediocre. I don't have an issue with self-respect, so I don't feel the need to appear masculine or heroic. I'll let all the alpha males handle that. 20 minutes later, the Challenger returns. Toby and Bonnie seem to be enjoying the trip. He confirms that there was indeed a delay of the ABC store, just as I expected, and it looks like it was planned in advance. While they are absent, no one calls me. I turn it off and remove the SIM card. They can't wait to get home as soon as possible. As soon as possible, I thank Toby, wish him a safe trip, and encourage him strongly to find another job immediately. I'm sure those wine boxes are quite expensive. This issue is easily solved. I place all 3 boxes on the inn's porch. I never want to be accused of theft. The trip back home is comfortable. There's nothing important in the house for me, just some personal documents, a laptop, and a few crude errands. Initially, I planned to burn the house before leaving, but that would make Donna a saint. I don't want to do that. 2 hours later, I start my journey. I don't feel the need to leave a traditional letter or the engagement ring. Let her handle the issue herself. I'm not in a hurry and don't have a specific goal. I drive for 2 days. On Monday morning, I call work and give them a heads up. I ask them to send my final paycheck to my parents in Carlisle. They are not pleased that I left without warning. I apologized, but I didn't explain further. You can always rely on a good breakfast at Waffle House on the way. I bought the local merchandiser's newspaper and found an interesting ad about the need for someone to work for a local supermarket, looking for a night stalker between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. After breakfast, I checked the store. It's located in a classic neighborhood of Chattanooga. I spend an hour driving around the area, with many classic craftsman-style wooden houses and some mobile homes right in the vicinity. I could be content living in a small apartment, but I hope to make a step up. Then, by chance, I found a sign advertising an apartment for rent over the garage. I hadn't inquired about the job, but I didn't want to miss out on the apartment over the garage. The garage wasn't included in the rent, but when I proposed an additional $50 per month, they agreed. It's a small apartment with 1 bedroom and no bathtub. It's furnished haphazardly with a bed, a dresser, a table, and a chair. The rent is reasonable, and the location is convenient, so I accept it. I'll deal with the bathroom issue later. At least I have a garage for the Challenger. The situation at the supermarket is a bit different. They have many candidates, but not enough to feel comfortable leaving them alone in the store overnight. I explain my situation to the store owner, and don't say anything negative. The final thing that sealed the deal for the part-time job was proposing to do a lowly job, with no benefits, and at a rate lower than what they wanted to pay. They didn't even ask for my social security number. I'm happy, and they're happy too. It's about a 10-minute walk from the apartment. I spend the rest of the day settling into my new place. The landlord provides me with his internet access code, which is great. After a short trip to the local Goodwill store, I get some kitchen utensils and a small microwave. I also have blankets, sheets, and cleaning supplies. That evening, I cancel my insurance policies. I decide not to bother with banks or credit cards. Who knows what harm they could cause? Both our daughters are married, making my departure a bit easier. There are no grandchildren yet, but I'm sure it won't take too long. I call my daughter Laura and let her know that I'm okay. I ask her to be ready to help her mother if needed. Laura knows I'd left, but Donna provided no additional information. She promises to inform our older daughter, Linda, of the news. I delete all calls from my wife and turn off my phone once again. I need to take a shower, perhaps tomorrow. Not everything is perfect. I need to find a safe place for my gold. For some quirky reason, I bought a safe in Huntsville, Alabama. I hope they won't link it to me in Chattanooga. Of course, I'm completely wrong, but I want to try at least. The trip takes nearly 2 hours, but that's my decision. The apartment's garage door is quite secure, but I've installed a new deadbolt and a reinforced lock for added security. I need to be protected. It didn't take long for me to immerse myself in my new job. For the first 3 nights, there was a man working with me, and then they left me alone. After the initial 2 weeks, I had everything under control. With $20 a month, I joined Planet Fitness, solving the shower issue for me. I start work at 10 p.m. and finish at 6 a.m., followed by a 20-minute run or a 30-minute walk to the gym. Initially, I only used the shower, but gradually, I began using some workout equipment. By the end of the first month, I was exercising at the gym for over 2 hours every day. I felt healthier and lost weight. I never considered myself overweight, but I had a bit of excess fat. I'm happy with my new job. It's monotonous, but at the same time different. Hard to express, but I'm sure you'll understand what I mean. I do my job, and they leave me alone. The gym is also a good option. I decide which exercises I like and which ones to avoid. I don't have a TV, but I have a used desktop computer with a good monitor. I rarely cook, but I notice a slight change in my eating habits. Though it wasn't my intention, I find myself gradually shifting towards a keto diet. After 3 months, I feel healthier and have lost weight. It's time to reconnect with my daughters. This time, I call Linda. Hello, Linda. This is your dad. It's time. Everyone is worried about me. Is Dad okay? Yeah, everything's fine. Don't worry about me. I always know how to take care of myself. I'm just calling to make sure Mom is okay. Mom is very healthy. She seems to have been promoted at the company and enjoys her job. However, she's very angry with Dad. She says I abandoned her at the praise ceremony and then left the house like a resentful child. Those were her words. She says I'm jealous of her success. I'm really sorry, but I can't add or subtract anything here until she's ready to tell you the truth. That's all I know. She says things have become difficult without income from you, but with her raise, she can handle everything well. I'm really happy for her. Did she mention anything about her new job? Just that she's making more money and traveling a lot. I didn't respond. After a short pause, Linda asks, "Is Dad coming home for Christmas?" Don't think about that. I'll try to send something for you and Laura. I don't need anything. I wanted to be here. Sorry, and now I have to go. Goodbye, Dad. I feel a bit disheartened. I sense that my daughter doesn't understand the situation and sees me as the cause of all problems. I'm not happy about it, but I don't feel the need to explain myself. Clearly, there's no remorse from my wife. I feel bored by what my daughter said. Donna is living well without me. I don't understand why she wants me to come back home. Over the weekend, I spent a lot of time in a melancholic mood. My beer consumption increased. As the weeks passed, I noticed everything was going well. I excelled at work and got promoted. I didn't expect them to provide me with complete freedom to carry out my tasks, and in a very short time, I optimized and improved the supply chain system. The store's shared computer system was doing this, but they seemed to appreciate manual input. My living conditions were ideal for my situation and within my budget. My weight decreased, and I started building muscles with a moderate glow. I began to skeptically notice a hint of a six-pack. I stopped shaving, and now I have long enough hair for a small ponytail. My entire image seemed to have changed, and I looked somewhat intimidating. My gym workouts became easier and a bit longer, and an unexpected side effect was that I also bonded with some people at the gym. In fact, they weren't friends but acquaintances. I was cautious around women because I didn't want issues with the guys. However, everything was fine. We actually joked around with each other. However, a very special alliance emerged. Her name was Harry, or at least everyone called her that. She wasn't friendly and rarely talked to anyone. Turns out, I was the exception. She came here every morning and did at least a 2-hour workout, a rigorous one, not some complex yoga. I guessed she was around 45. She looked strong, always wearing jogging pants and a hoodie. All other women flaunted their figures in short, tight outfits, not Harry. I was the only one in the entire gym she talked to or even looked at. I didn't encourage her, but I also didn't distance her in any way. Honestly, I felt a bit proud. A few months passed, and I still hadn't contacted my daughter or wife. I just couldn't bring myself to do it. I went several times to Huntsville to add to my Krugerrand collection. Then everything started to change. "William, there's something I need to talk to you about." This wasn't the usual way for Harry to start a conversation. She called me William when all the other guys called me Bill. If I recall correctly, she never called me by my name before. "Come here for a moment. Can I help with something?" Actually, yes, so let's sit down and have a comfortable chat. I have a business meeting on Friday night, and I need someone to accompany me. I'll cover all the expenses, and all I need is for you to come with me. I noticed you don't drive, so I'll provide transportation too. I can reimburse if needed." I hesitate a bit, and she quickly understood. "I'm really sorry. Did I say or do something wrong?" "Not at all. I just have some secrets in my closet, so to speak. If you can get past them, I'll be happy to help." "All right. What's the issue?" "First of all, I'm married, quite uncomfortably. You've never talked about your wife." "I find that a bit odd." "No, nothing odd at all. I just want you to know up front. I haven't met or spoken to my wife for over 9 months. I don't even know if I'm married." "Have you filed for divorce?" "No. Anything else?" "I don't have anything suitable. No suits, no jackets, no dress shirts, no regular shoes. I don't need all these, so I don't have them." "No problem. I can sort this out. That's why I asked a week in advance. I work in the evening, but I think I can arrange a free evening without any issues. I'm really glad you solved this problem." She smiled when saying this. "And anything else? Do you want me to shave?" "William, I like your beard and hair, but honestly, you look a bit scruffy. Would you mind if my stylist checks you out on Friday evening?" "Stylist?" She smiled, and I shrugged and nodded that everything was fine. So my relationship with Harry began. Harry is professionally known as Harriet Parker, a lawyer. On Tuesday, I found myself at Joseph Banks. Not top-notch, but higher than anything I've known. Harry had prearranged my visit. I finally got 2 pairs of pants and 2 athletic vests, some dress shirts, and a few bowties. I felt a bit tense before adding 2 turtleneck sweaters. I always liked them, and thought they would look good with the athletic vests. Harry paid for everything. On the way home, I bought a new pair of shoes and some underwear. I needed new underwear because of my recent weight loss. Moccasin-style shoes, but still elegant. The appointment with the stylist on Friday went smoothly. The guy taking care of me was easygoing and did a good job. He gave me a neat, short beard and transformed my ponytail into something resembling a short haircut, a makeover. I didn't know the exact term, but it extended at the back. He assured me that maintaining it would be much easier. I liked it. He didn't talk much about Harry, but he said I was lucky. Harry appeared at my apartment right at 6 o'clock. She didn't leave the car but honked shortly. The Lexus looked out of place in my area. I wore a gray vest and a gray turtleneck sweater. I thought I looked decent, but I had no reference point. I appreciated her driving because I didn't know the way in the city. "Harry, before we go in, can you explain exactly what I should or shouldn't do tonight? The first hour or so will probably be socializing. You don't need to worry too much. Most people here will be older, so you won't want to engage with them. Avoid them if you can. Most importantly, I want you to stay close to me and keep the older people away. Try not to bother people, but don't let someone push you around. Make sure I always have a drink in hand, either ginger ale or mineral water. Be friendly and easygoing, and don't lose your cool. Let them think we're a couple. I've never considered myself that type of person. I don't have much experience with these matters. Can you handle it? Anyway, is there food? In about an hour, everyone will get a plate of fake chicken worth $500 and listen to some speeches. When the event ends, they will give you something else. Oh, by the way, you look really good." At that moment, I realized that I hadn't complimented her on her dress or hair. I was truly lost. The first part of the evening went exactly as she explained. I found that my role was easier than I thought. The room was full of gentlemen, all wearing expensive suits and big watches. Harry looked great, and most of them knew she was single. Quite a few stopped to chat with her for a while, testing the waters. I found myself glancing at them like Charles Bronson. Surprisingly, it worked every time I moved away from her to refresh my drink. Another eagle swooped down. Some of them brought drinks for her, which she casually handed to me to dispose of. Harry looked at me a few times and seemed to be smiling. Finally, we sat down, and 300 dinners with chicken appeared out of nowhere. It was an uncomfortable meal. I'm not a picky eater, but this was really different. I thought about the $500. Harry leaned towards me. "William, do you want to leave this place?" I didn't answer her, just stood up, took her hand, and we left gently. I think no one even noticed us when we entered the garages. She kicked off her shoes and tossed me the keys to the Lexus. "Find us a real meal, William." 20 minutes later, we arrived at Hillbilly Willie's, each with a full plate and a beer. While we ate, I noticed something peculiar. Her evening gown had long sleeves. Most women's dresses have short sleeves or no sleeves, but no one with long sleeves. Also, she was barefoot and seemed not to care at all. Everything quickly returned to normal. My evening with Harry was enjoyable, even though it didn't end with any intimacy. We continued our regular relationship at the gym. 3 weeks later, Harry had another appointment that required someone to accompany her. I naturally agreed. I felt obligated to explain the situation to my boss, and he laughed, very pleased. In this situation, he told me that I didn't need to ask for permission to leave, just leave a note. He emphasized that I was responsible for my time and should treat it as such. Our second night was similar to the first, except there was no food. And there was more alcohol. More alcohol meant more lizards running around. Every second guy approached her with a new drink. I spent most of the evening collecting and disposing of unwanted drinks. One of the most annoying guys finally got on my nerves. I led him aside and gently told him that if he bothered my party again, I would wipe the smirk off his face. He disappeared for the rest of the evening, just like many others. I had no idea I had become so assertive. After the meeting, we went for sushi, but ended up having $40 worth of sashimi. It was another enjoyable evening, even though it was just friendly banter. 2 days later, Harry unexpectedly dropped by while I was rowing. "Why didn't you tell me we were engaged?" I felt a bit embarrassed when a colleague asked about that. She didn't wait for an answer, just smiled. I called Laura. She said Donna was avoiding her and Linda. Laura only knew that Donna was often out, and others were frequently at home. I asked her if her mother had filed for divorce, but she didn't know. It had been a few weeks since she and Linda spoke to Donna, and for some reason, I became angry. As I drank more bottles, the situation got worse. The next morning, I sent 74 pens to Glenn Simpson at Gilbert Industries, along with a short note, "Thanks for a fun evening." It had been over a year since that party, but I was sure he remembered it. I skipped the gym that day. I didn't want to work out while still hungover. The next day, I received a proposal from Harry. She promised to explain everything to her the next time we had dinner together. She picked me up at 6 p.m. and took me to Chris's Steakhouse, my first time at such a place. She listened silently and didn't judge. I returned to my apartment just before starting the work shift. The next day at the gym, Harry asked me another question. Do I know someone who was at that nightclub? When I said I had names and addresses of everyone present, her eyes lit up. After the workout, she came to my place, and I handed her an envelope with 12 vehicle registration forms. She held them tightly and kissed me on the cheek. There are many types of lawyers. Harry is a personal injury lawyer. She tried to explain it to me, but I just laughed and asked for the price. All I got was another kiss on the cheek. 3 days later, my daughter Linda called me. Donna had called her asking if she knew where I lived. There was an issue at Donna's workplace, and she got involved in the middle. She was unhappy and wanted to talk to me immediately. Linda refused to tell her anything. I wondered if Glenn had received those pens or not. I called Harry and told her I would pick her up in 20 minutes. Her office was located in an upscale shopping center. It was a beautiful place, but not overly flashy. Harry had never seen the Challenger. The sound of the engine attracted some curious looks from her office. As she stepped out, I walked around the car to open the door for her and smiled at all the onlookers. Harry laughed as she got into the car. "William, you drive really well. Impressively so. I guess you'd want an engagement ring right now." But at this point in my life, let's not rush. I kept the Challenger under control until we crossed the Tennessee River, and then I started to accelerate a bit. Highway 72 to Huntsville was a good road, but not the place to show off. 2 hours later, we were sitting in dreamland. All those people at that nightclub have been served today. What do you mean by served? It's a lawsuit. The precise term is malicious conduct contributing to the breakdown of a marriage. Does this really exist? It seems to meet all the required criteria. Their behavior was intentional, excessive, and caused you severe mental distress. This might be why my wife is upset. What do you think when I say my wife is upset? My daughter Linda called me today and said Donna needs to talk to me. There's a major issue at work, and somehow she's involved. I don't know more. Glenn Simpson and Gilbert Industries are being sued for $1 million, while the other 11 are facing demands of $100,000 each. I'm not trying to be wise or anything, but do you really think this will succeed? Of course, it may not be as simple as it looks, but I think some interesting things might happen. I was a bit tense as we left the restaurant, so I optimistically asked Harry if she wanted to rent a room and come back in the morning. I want to, but I can't. If you want, we can leave early. That's not an issue. Just leave, and I'll explain everything to you on the way home. The car was silent for the first 20 minutes, and then it started to speak. I think about 8 years ago, Harry weighed nearly 300 pounds. She decided to diet and exercise instead of undergoing bypass surgery. She lost 140 pounds, but unfortunately, she had to endure 20 pounds of excess skin. There were 5 surgeries to remove the excess skin, and now she has scars all over her body. Harry is a brave and straightforward woman, but she admits that she is very self-conscious about her scars. She avoids dates and any contact with men. For some reason, she feels comfortable with me, but doesn't know why. I drove her home, walked her to the door, and gently kissed her on the cheek. She thanked me for the meal, and there was a small teardrop in her eyes as I left. We continued our casual dates. It seems that Jack's discussions are becoming popular locally. In less than 2 years, they've added 2 more stores and showed no signs of stopping. The owner was serious when he proposed a full-time position for me as the inventory manager for all 3 stores. However, they required me to become a full-time employee, meaning I had to become completely legal. At this point, it no longer mattered, so I agreed. Harry was happy, and so was I. A few weeks passed, and I heard nothing from my daughter. Then I received a short message. Mom has been fired. This made everything more complicated. Now I have a steady job with a good salary, and Donna is no longer employed. At this point, I feared I would face penalties in the divorce. William, I have good news for a change, Harry said seriously, and I listened intently. 3 out of the 11 people we sued have settled the case. What does that mean? Since we only filed requests for $100,000, the insurance companies encouraged them to pay and avoid a public trial. This has been covered by insurance, so it didn't hurt their profits much. So we might get some money, William. I've received 3 checks already. There might be more to come. Do you think this is related to Donna getting fired? Yes, most likely. Will this harm my divorce case? Have you filed the documents? No, not yet. I was planning to ask for your help with this matter. Harry smiled. William, pack a small bag and get the Challenger ready. We're going to visit your wife. We'll leave early on Thursday morning. Now, I smiled. We left at 6 a.m. and checked into the Sheraton Hotel. 10 hours later, I called Linda and asked her to invite Donna and Laura for lunch at Reading Motor the next day. The dinner conversation felt a bit awkward. Our discussion was diverse and confusing. Both of us were careful not to touch on sensitive issues. We spent the first night together after a year of being friends with no benefits. The last thing I wanted was to make her feel uncomfortable. Though I won't go into details about the evening, I want to say that it wasn't as painful as we anticipated. We were both a bit awkward but managed everything quite well. She seemed relieved when she saw I didn't resent her, and I was happy that it wasn't as bad as she made me think. We became a happily foolish couple. In the morning, we had brunch. Donna and the girls were waiting for us at the table. I wore one of my new sport jackets, along with a dark turtleneck. I looked good. Harry wore a light sportswear outfit, professional yet comfortable. My wife and daughter looked at me with surprise. Donna, Linda, Laura. This is Harriet Parker, someone I trust, and my lawyer. Harriet, this is my wife Donna and daughters Linda and Laura. I introduced, somewhat awkwardly, but it was the best I could do before we could fall into pointless conversation. The waiter appeared to take our orders. "I'm not hungry, if you don't mind. I'll just have some coffee," I said. Donna was the first to break the silence. I quickly glanced around the table and drew the same conclusion. "Why don't you just bring us 5 cups of coffee and leave the pot on the table?" she said. The waiter nodded, and everyone seemed to breathe a sigh of relief. "Nice to meet you again, Bill. Can you tell us what you've been up to in the past few years?" Donna said with a hint of a smirk. "I'm just working and giving you the freedom to explore yourself or do whatever you want." Harry nudged me gently under the table. "I need you, and you abandoned me." "Maybe you need someone, but not me, Mom. Dad needs you, but not me." "Dad, let go of this. I'm sure you didn't arrange this meeting just to sit around and taunt each other. Why do you want us here?" Linda was quite assertive. I realized that this would be a brief meeting. I was puzzled, glancing at Harry, searching for a sign on how to proceed. She ignored me but continued to control the conversation. Harry rummaged through her bag and pulled out an envelope, passing it across the table to Donna. "Mrs. Smith, this is the divorce petition. I think you'll find it fair. I suggest you take it to your lawyer and let him review it." Laura and Linda looked astonished. Clearly, they didn't expect this. However, Donna smiled broadly. She didn't take the envelope from Harry, but instead grabbed a similar one from her own purse. The fool is delusional. I divorced her weakling of a husband 8 months ago for abandonment. She didn't get a copy because I didn't know where to send it. This is the outcome, and anyway, she has nothing I pretend to own. Her smile turned into a wide grin. Right at that moment, the waiter brought coffee and a vase of flowers to the table. Donna stood up, smiling at Harry and me, then looked optimistically at the girls before leaving. She left both envelopes on the table. "Dad, can we stay for lunch? I heard they have delicious quiche here," Laura asked. Harry and I laughed and asked the waiter to bring the menu. Harry, Laura, and Linda had a wonderful lunch and conversation. I felt like I was eating alone. I've never understood women so clearly. The girls exchanged phone numbers and promised to stay in touch. Returning to the room, I began packing. "William, I think we should stay one more night." "Yes, but not here. Hurry up and get ready." An hour and 40 minutes later, we were in Elkton, Maryland. 30 minutes later, Harriet Parker became Harry Smith. We stayed overnight in Luray, Virginia, in a house with a 3-car garage. "It's a different story," as the girl said. Donna seemed very angry when she learned I received over $2 million from Gilbert Industries. Donna moved to Iowa. I don't know why.